My name is Vipul and I have 11 years of IT experience. During my IT experience, I have worked on multiple tools. So I started my journey from the Informatica data migration tool and then I moved on to the SAP world. In that I worked on SAP Data Services, which is again a data migration tool which is specific to SAP. And then I worked on SAP HANA 2.0 on-premise as well as SAP HANA on cloud. And after that, I worked on SAP Analytics Cloud, which is a reporting tool available by SAP. And it has a lot of great features available to us. And then after working in those technologies, I moved on to the Snowflake Data Warehouse and also MySQL. Apart from that, I'm also associated with Data Vision as a trainer for MySQL and Snowflake Data Warehouse. So let's get started. Okay, so let us continue from where we left off yesterday. We understood that there are different layers of the cloud tech platforms. So in the very bottom, we have IaaS, and then I cannot write it on top of that because PaaS consists of, if you add the platform to that, then we have something called as PaaS. So here it will be like this. So this entire thing is your PaaS. And then on top of that, if you also develop on some your software, then this software becomes something you called as ISSAS. Okay. So this is what we discussed yesterday. So now in somewhere in yesterday's session, I mentioned that your Snowflake Data Warehouse is a software as a service offering. So again, I will mention that the Snowflake Data Warehouse is a SaaS offering. Okay, solution or SaaS of. So now let us dig deeper into multiple layers of Snowflake Data Warehouse so that we can actually understand what is the architecture of Snowflake Data Warehouse. Okay, for that, let me open that. Okay, so now let us understand what are different levels within the Snowflake Data Warehouse. So again, here this is the same thing which we had seen yesterday. So we have the different layers. So as compared to yesterday, these are less layers. So we have physical storage, we have virtual machine, we have physical servers, we have operating system, data, software, and application. So physical servers, virtual machine, and the physical storage come under IaaS. So if you talk about Snowflake Data Warehouse, then your IaaS, your infrastructure as a service provider, can be any one of AWS, GCP, or Azure. Okay. So Snowflake Data Warehouse is not saying that you should be sticking to a specific platform. So whenever you are creating the account for Snowflake Data Warehouse, you are free to choose which cloud platform you want to associate it to. And within each account, again, we had seen yesterday, we will see today as well, we have different regions, availability region, okay? Because all the cloud platforms are not available in all the regions, okay? So we can have the Snowflake Data Warehouse is any of the cloud platform, and it could be on any region. So we get a choice to select any of them or any of the region within that cloud provider. So this is where you can see that the infrastructure will be provided by one of these cloud providers. And then on top of that, what Snowflake has done is that Snowflake has developed this software. Okay, so they are managing the operating system, they are managing the data, and they are taking this software. So all these different layers, which is platform as a service and everything, their software development is done by Snowflake Data Warehouse. So here we can see that managing the data source storage, the virtual warehouses, we will see what that is, and then the upgrades and metadata, everything will be taken care by the Snowflake Data Warehouse. And finally, on the top, we have applications. So application is what we will be accessing to. So this is the software. If you talk about this software, this is your Snowflake Data Warehouse, and we as a user, we will be connecting to the Snowflake Data Warehouse using a browser or different ways. Okay, it could be either through the third party platforms or using the different libraries which are provided by different languages, or we also have something called as Snow CLI to connect that. Okay, so we will first of all create a Snowflake Data Warehouse account, and then we will be connecting to that account using different mechanisms. Okay, but again, we as users do not have to worry about how the data is being stored, where it is stored, how it is being optimized, how it is being managed, what all metadata is there. And again, we do not have to worry about about the upgradation of the software itself. So if you talk about the Snowflake Data Warehouse, we do not have to worry about the installation of upgrades, installation of updates. Everything is out of the window now because we do not have to take care at all. And again, one more thing we have to understand here, that as we have mentioned, that Snowflake Data Warehouse is a SaaS solution. So again, it is not available to be downloaded and installed on your local desktop. It is a cloud only solution. So all the concepts and all the features we have within the Snowflake Data Warehouse, apart from Snow CLI, everything, I mean, the bundled product is available as a cloud only solution. We cannot download the installation steps from somewhere from the website and install the Snowflake Data Warehouse on our system. So this is cloud only solution. Okay, so I'll mention it over here. And all the technologies which are available within the Snowflake Data Warehouse, they are also optimized to work the best way possible in the cloud solutions. Okay, so here you can see that the tool has been designed to be cloud centric. Okay, so that we can take best use of the different terminologies and different concepts and different features we have in the cloud. And then we as a user, whether you are a database developer, whether you are anyone, you are an administrator, let us say, so you as a user will have to focus on your task, and you do not have to worry about the Snowflake Data Warehouse. Its updates, upgrades, again, everything you do not have to worry about. Okay, so you as a user can focus on your task rather than worrying about something else which is not required for you. Okay, so now let us dig deeper into the architecture of Snowflake Data Warehouse. So we have three layers. So I'll also mention it over here. So very broadly, so we have three layers. So in the very bottom, we have a storage layer. I'll do this later. So we have a storage layer. So here you can see that it is mentioned as the hybrid columnar storage, and it is saved in block. So let us understand what is the hybrid columnar storage. So because the storage is going to be the most important aspect of any database or any data warehouse which we talk about. Okay, and now here we let us understand what is the columnar storage. So again, we will have to provision some storage associated to the Snowflake data warehouse, because we will be deploying a entire end-to-end data warehouse solution, or we will be using it as a database. But again, we have to decide how much storage we actually need to actually implement our scenario. Okay, so we have to, by the storage, we have to decide whether we want 100 GB of storage, 1000 GB of storage, 1 TB of storage, 10 TB of storage. So this decision we have to make how much storage we want. And again, because as we had discussed yesterday, that we have different ways, we are not stuck with the storage which we decide on the very first instance. So we can also go for more storage if you want. So if you think that okay, 2 TB is less for you, then you can increase to 6 TB. But if you think that 2 TB is a lot more for you, then you can scale down to 1 TB as well. So no one is stopping us from increasing or decreasing the storage we want for this Snowflake data warehouse. And then okay, so if you talk about some of the previous databases, whether it is your SQL server or any other previous server which were available so not servers but SQL database or any other database, can be Oracle. So in those databases we have something called as row-based structure, row-based storage. Okay, so now if you consider any table, so first thing, if I draw a table like this, if I say that okay, this is an employee table, so this is employee, and then we have different columns. We have employee ID, we have employee name, and we have employee salary. Okay, so if I let me put some dummy values, that much is enough, I guess, for the demonstration. And then we have multiple employee names, let's say A, B, and C, and their salaries are 100, 101, and 99. Okay, so let us say we have three employees. So right now, what we usually do whenever we do a select star from the table, we see a structure of the data, we see the representation of data. This is just how the data is shown. This is not how the data is stored in any of the database or any other data warehouse. Okay, this is just a representation of table. So let us see how the data is actually stored in the databases. So if you take the row-based storage, that the way in which the data is stored in SQL data warehouse, Microsoft SQL server, then the data is stored row by row. So first of all, so we are looking at how the data is stored in the disk. Okay, data storage in disks. So first of all, the first row will be stored. Here you can see that this will go here, and then consecutively you will have the second row stored after that, and finally your third row will be stored. Okay, so this is how the data has traditionally being stored in the various disks, and this is how we were saving it. Okay, now there are some problem. I mean, there are some advantages and there are also some disadvantages of saving the data row by row. Okay, so now this is again not the way the data is stored on the disk, because disk only understand the language of 1011. I mean 1010. I mean only bits can be understood by the database. If you talk about the disks, then we will not have A written over here. This is again for our ease. We will represent it in binary of 65, and again 100 will be there. The binary of 2 is 1. Let us say this is 1, this is 10, and then for B it will be whatever, because SKI of B is 66, and then for that we will store the binary number. Okay, so even this I am showing this for ease of purposes, but again in the database they will be stored as the binary numbers. Okay, okay. Now let us understand what is the requirement of data warehouse, because the needs of data warehouse are different from the needs of a database. So in data warehouse, we actually store the data to do the analytical operations. Okay. And if you look at the analytical operations we are doing these days, we are actually doing analysis on the column by column basis. Okay. Either you will be doing the maximum of salary, minimum of salary, average of salary, or count of employees, the distinct employee names, and so on. So any if you talk about the modern analytical operations, so they ask about a specific column, or they look at the relationship of one column with the another column. There is, I mean, I don't know any method of data, I mean, of the analytical operation which will be asking for the entire row for its operations. So most of the analytical operations we do are based on the column basis, either on a single column or multiple columns in relationship to each other. Okay. So let us say if I want to, if we consider a very small table that I want to do a sum of these values, and that is a very simple example I want to have. Okay. I want to see what is the sum of the employee salary, or what is the average of salary of my and or of all the employees. Okay. So now if you talk about the disk storage, because the disk storage stores the data row by row. So that is one row, and then this is the second row, and then this is the third row. So now if I want to do any operation on the column basis, so first of all, the data has to be picked one by one, and then it has to be copied into a buffer, and it will traverse like this, and will take the second value, and then it will keep on traversing, and then it will take the third value. And then finally, we will be doing the sum of these values. So here you can see that although this is a very small table, but if the table is very large and we are asking for a columnar level operations, then it is very difficult to do that, because the data is stored in raw format. Okay. So that is why if you talk about the modern databases or modern data warehouse solution, whether we talk about Snowflake Data Warehouse or if you talk about SAP HANA, the data is stored in a column based. Okay. So column based storage. So the data is not stored row by row, but the data is stored column by column. So let us do that. Let us see how it is stored. So first of all, it will store the first column. It will say 1, 2, 3, and then it will store the second column. It will say A, B, C, and then finally it will store the third column. This is 100, 101, and 99. Okay. So this is how the data will be stored in the columnar fashion. So here, the database or data warehouse is having the data being stored one by one in a column by column fashion. So now if you we so now it is actually also optimized, or it is also good case if you are doing the columnar level operations. So because all the columns are stored, all the column values are stored together. So here you can see that if I am doing the sum of these operations, so the database knows, or the data warehouse knows, that all the associated values for a specific column are put together, so that it is very easy to retrieve the data. Okay. So let us first of all look at the advantages of storing the data column by column. So we can see that the access is relatively faster. Okay. And again, the second best advantage of this columnar storage is that compression is better, because here the database knows that one of the column is here to here, second column is from here to here, and third is from here. And because all the columns have a specific data type, so it is very easy to apply the compression mechanisms, because these all are going to be integer, these all are going to be varchar, and again these are going to be integer. So it is very easy for the database to compress these values on the column by column basis. Whereas if you looked overhead when the data was stored in the row fashion, at that time the row was having different data types, or having different data types, or different types of data. At that time, it was also very difficult to perform the compressions because the value which is here is different from here. And again, it could have different values because these are varchars. The compression is different for varchar, the compression is different for integers. So it was very difficult to do the proper compression for the different data types altogether. Okay, so this is an advantage. And then the third option we have is parallel processing. Now, as we have seen, processing. So now, as we have already seen that if I want to do any columnar operation, and if the data is stored row by row, then all the values have to be taken one by one. It has to be stored somewhere, and then the operation has to be done. But on the columnar level basis, all the data is being stored in one place, and now it is very easy to do the parallel processing. Let us say if I have 50,000 records or 60,000 records, 20,000 records are having these values, 20,000 are having these values, and 20,000 are having these values. So what I can do is that I can associate process one to do the summation of these 20,000 values and summation of process two to do these values and process three to do this. And process four will finally do the summation of values, which will be returned by P1, P2, and P3. So I can have four processes. So I can actually have three processes working in background. They will do the summation of specific values, and then finally the result will be returned to one process which will do the summation of these three values. So this is not very easily implemented, and this step can be done once all the specific values have been identified, which will take a bit of a time. So that is why we can have parallel processing. Let us now go back to the advantages of storing the data in the uh, column format. So now if I see the advantages of here is that if a new column is been added, it is very, oh, sorry, if a new row is added, then it is very easy to implement in the in the uh, in the column based storage. Okay, I will mention it here. Oh, sorry, not here. This is actually should be here. Okay, so if you're talking about row based storage, if you talk about the advantages, so now here we have is that the additional of column. If we add new column, then additional of column is very easy because anyhow it has to add a column over here and it has to, I mean, oh, sorry, my bad. The row I was mentioning at the row. Okay, so row addition is very easy because whenever a new row will come, it will be appended over here, and the addition of no new row is very easy. But whereas if you talk about the column-based storage, addition of new row is going to create a lot of problem. So a row has to be inserted over here and it will come over here. So it is going to affect all the data. So here we can see the only good advantage of having the having row-based storage is if the new row is added. But if a new column is being added, then it is an advantage of the column-based storage. So if the column is being added, if the column is being dropped, so column addition is an advantage of the column-based storage. Okay. Okay. So what we have understood is that there are a lot of benefits if we are doing the analytical information and you are storing a data for the analytical purposes and doing the operations on the column basis, then the columnar storage makes a lot of sense. So this is what Snowflake is saying, that it is having the columnar storage. It has hybrid storage. If you want to go with the row-based storage, you can go with that as well. But by default, it will store the data in columnar storage. And again, we do not have much of a control over how this data is being stored. So Snowflake will decide based on how the data is being appropriately used. If there is a lot of data which is coming from the source, then it will go for the row-based storage. But if the data is being stored, there is very less amount of data which is being added, or it is coming in bulk, and it is not like very transactional data which is coming every second. So it will go with the columnar storage if the data is coming in the bulk order and it is not getting frequently new rows all the different times. Okay. So these all things will be managed by the Snowflake Data Warehouse. So that is why we have hybrid columnar storage, and then the data is stored in blobs. Okay. Now, once we have sorted with the storage of the data, then we have something called as virtual warehouses. Virtual warehouses are actually those components which take care of processing the queries. So now we have the storage. So this is your storage. Let us say this is your storage component. And then your data is stored over here. All the tables, different table definitions, what all different views you want to create, or any other database level objects which you want to create, they all will be stored in the storage schema. So now, once the table has been created, its data has been stored, or you have created a view, you have created a stage object, whatever different database objects you want to create, you have created it. And now on top of this storage layer, we have the query processing layer. Okay, so this is query processing. So this query processing layer consists of something called as virtual warehouses. So these virtual warehouses are actually taking care of performing all the database operations. Okay. So for these virtual warehouses, you can consider them to be the combination of, you can say CPU and RAM and cache. So here, if you also compare it to your system, so these components are actually used to process the incoming data. So if you consider the storage to be hard disk and you can consider virtual warehouses to be combination of them, then this is how our systems also work. So all the components, if I want to use any software, so first of all, I have to install it in my storage layer. Then all the system setups or the system or the application file will be stored into the hard disk. And then if I want to run any application, then first of all, the required components are taken to the RAM and they are processed by CPU. And the process, if the process is being asked again and again, if the requirement is like the CPU has to reprocess some information chunk of data, then it will store something in the cache so that it can stay save time to process that. So here the same thing is applicable over here. So we have storage, which is the column-based storage, which we have seen. It could be hybrid, it can be row-based storage as well. And then top of that, we have something called as virtual warehouses. So virtual warehouses are a combination of these processing layers, which actually do the computation of the data. Okay, so that is why you can see that they are called muscle of the system, which can perform massive parallel processing. If we talk about the virtual warehouses, so as we have seen, virtual warehouses are components which do the computations. The flexibility we have within the Snowflake Data Warehouse that we can create n number of virtual warehouses. And again, the virtual warehouses depends on what is your need. So the virtual warehouses come with different sizes. So if you need more computation size, you can go for the larger size of virtual warehouses. If you are doing less computation, you can go with the small size of virtual warehouses. And again, we can create multiple virtual warehouses. If you want, you can create, if this is your virtual warehouse one, then you can say that this is virtual warehouses one. And let us say if it is of small size, and then you can go for another instance of virtual warehouse within the same data warehouse account, Snowflake data warehouse account. So we are talking about one Snowflake data warehouse account. So within one account, you can create multiple virtual warehouses. You have virtual warehouse one, virtual warehouse two, and virtual warehouse three, and they can have different sizes. It could be of medium size, it could be of large size, and so on. Then we can accommodate different virtual warehouses based on our needs. We will see in the next sessions how we can actually develop a resilient architecture so that so we have different, first of all, if we have different users, how we can assign some roles, and based on those roles, they can access a specific virtual warehouse size. So if there is a lot of load from these specific users, then we will assign them a very good and performance intensive virtual warehouse. But if the load is very light, then we will give them a small size of virtual warehouses. So we will see all this architecture, and we will also see, let us say if something goes wrong with this virtual warehouse, how we can strategize to make sure that the user are still using the virtual warehouse, their work is not affected. Okay. So again, I will go back to I will go over here. So they are called the muscles of the system. And finally, we have the cloud services layers. The cloud services layer is called as the brain of the system, which is responsible for managing the infrastructure, access control, security, and security optimizer and metadata. So let us understand that. So on top of that, we have the cloud services layer, which is here. So I mentioned cloud services layer. Okay. So now this entire box. This is your Snowflake data warehouse, and this is your entire Snowflake data warehouse account. So this is what we will be creating. Snowflake data warehouse account. So each data warehouse account will have its own layers, will have its own query processing layer, will have its own storage. So this is what we will be creating. So as a part of this session, we will be creating a free trial of the Snowflake Data Warehouse account, which is available for the free 30 days. And we have $400 worth of free usage. And whatever we will be doing, it will be within the free tier. Again, if you are going to create a Snowflake Data Warehouse account, we have different editions. We will talk about that in a moment. So we will see how we are going to use different editions and what all different features are associated to different editions. So We will also see which edition we will be using as a part of this course. Okay. By the way, it will be business critical. We will see what all different features we have within the business critical edition. So this is just an information for you for this course. Okay. Okay. So now let us say we as a user again. This is the user. So we have created the Snowflake Data Warehouse account. It is also sitting on a cloud provider. So at the base, there will be a cloud provider. So as we have already seen that it has to have the IaaS to be available by these cloud providers. So cloud provider can be any one of them, can be AWS, can be GCP, or can be Azure. And this entire box we will create, this will be your Snowflake Data Warehouse account, the complete Snowflake Data Warehouse account. And we as a user have different ways to connect to the Snowflake Data Warehouse. Then most of the time, we can use the browser-based Snow CLI, or we can use NoSQL. We will see multiple ways, but generally, let us consider that we are accessing the Snowflake Data Warehouse using a browser. We will be provided with the link to log into the Snowflake Data Warehouse when we will be creating the account, and then we will access it like this. Now, let us say that I have created the Snowflake Data Warehouse account, and then we as a user are trying to access that. Okay. Now, if I'm a user and I have created the Snowflake Data Warehouse account, so I will have a specific user ID and password associated to my account. Okay, ID and password will be created whenever I will create a new user. Okay, so now let us see the process how the data actually flows from one layer to another layer when we are processing something or when we are requesting something. Let us say in this storage, I have a table A, which I want to process, which I want to access from this Snowflake Data Warehouse account. So me as a user, I will log into the Snowflake Data Warehouse, and within that we have something called as worksheets. From there, we will go on there and we will write the SQL query. Let us say select star from table A. Okay. So now first of all, I will hit this cloud services layer, which is actually responsible for managing infrastructure and access control as well. So it will first of all see whatever user ID and password which I am sending is correct or not. So it will check whether I am having the proper accesses or not. And then it will also check whether I have rights to access this table or not. Okay, so all these checks are done by your Snowflake Data Warehouse. So once this cloud services layer, so once everything is fine, so it will try to optimize the query as well. Right now we are talking about a very simple query which is trying to access the table, which is like a select star from table A. So in this way, there is not much of an optimization. But let us say if I have a filtration, if I have multiple joins, if I have different type of merge situations, or if you are doing some complex situations, and in that case, your software data warehouse thinks that it can be made better, it can be optimized. Then in that case, your cloud service layer will actually optimize the query which you are sending. Okay, so let us say it has been optimized by your optimized by your software data warehouse, and then this optimized query will be sent to your query processing layer. And again, as we have seen, the query processing layer consists of different compute mechanisms. Then this optimized query will go to this virtual warehouse, and it can go to any virtual warehouse. You can decide which query goes to which virtual warehouse. So let us say in this instance, we have only one virtual warehouse for simplicity. So this query will come to this virtual warehouse. This box is also inside of it. Okay, 1 second. So avoid you to confusion. It is sitting in the same box. Cert, and then I will mention it over here so that you do not get confused. So over here we have created a virtual warehouse, and this is a part of your Snowflake data warehouse account. Okay, and then this optimized query will be sent to the query processing layer, and the query processing layer will actually do whatever has been set in the optimized query, and then this query processing layer will go to the storage. It will take the data of that table A from here. It will take it back from here, and then it will be presented to me in my whatever system I am connecting to. If I'm connecting to via browser, then I can see the data in the browser. If I'm using SnowSQL, then the data will be returned to my whatever interface I'm using. So this is how multiple layers are working in unison. The cloud services layer are most importantly, they are related to the optimization of my query and to make sure that the query is running faster and I have proper accesses, and only those people are accessing the table who have the proper privileges. And then the query processing layer are actually responsible for performing the manipulation and actually performing the operation which I have submitted to. Now, if any table is required, if any specific data is required by the query processing layer, then this query processing layer will take the data from the storage layer and they will do the manipulation and they will return the data. So this is how this is the overview of how the queries are performed in the Snowflake Data. So all these three layers are working together to make sure that the workload is segregated amongst them, and also we are getting the best performance possible on the Snowflake Data Warehouse. Any questions till now? Is it going good? Are you getting the idea? Yes, Ravi.
Yeah. Can one account have multiple cloud providers?
No. One account will be associated only one cloud provider, either any one of them, and there will be one region associated. So only on one region we can and associated to one cloud provider. This is the we have to stick to that, okay?
Okay.
And we cannot
Yeah.
also change it later.
Okay.
Okay.
We cannot
So
change it later also. So
no, we
now I
cannot.
created a AWS cloud provider account and I
Mhm.
want it to convert it to GCP.
Yes.
No, we
So
cannot do
what
it.
you have to do, you cannot change it in this account. You will have to make another account and you have to migrate from here to here.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So that is the only thing. But this system, once this is set with one Snowflake data warehouse with one specific region, with the specific details, then we
Hmm.
cannot change it. Okay.
When you say migrate from GCP to AWS, right? So
Mhm.
we need to do a manual or DDLs and data. Again, we need to do the full load.
It is easier because anyhow we are
Another way.
migrating.
Sorry?
We can do the replication anyhow. We can replicate the data from one account to another account, and we can decommission this account. We do not have to manually do anything. There
So
is a
suppose I
replication.
suppose I have a 2 DBs are there, right? 2 DB
Mhm.
are there, and some say 10 tables are there.
Right.
So in the replication, just one command, it will move everything, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So replication, we can replicate the data. We actually have a frequency associated to that. Either it can be 5 minutes. So every 5 minutes, whatever you are creating here, it will be copied over to another Snowflake data warehouse account. So we will see that all those concepts. So in a very brief, we can say that yes, we can do the replication. So replication has a frequency. You can also make it 0 minutes, 0 seconds also. So whatever is happening here will also happen over there. And as soon as all the data is done, then you can completely migrate from here to here. Okay. And everything in terms of look and feel, the good thing about Snowflake Data Warehouse is that no matter if you are in which region, I mean, it can be specific to region, but if you are specific to any cloud provider, you will not see any difference because you are dealing with the Snowflake Data Warehouse and its UI. So no matter where it is sitting, it will always look the same. Okay, it will not look like the Snowflake Data Warehouse on GCP looks different and it's look different on the Azure. It has same look and feel no matter which cloud provider you want. Okay.
So you
Okay.
mean to say that suppose my account AWS in Singapore, right? And I want
Mhm.
to move to US, right? We can move it, right?
Yeah, we can you move it. We
GCP
can
or
do the yeah, we can
okay.
go to any other region. We can replicate the data because anyhow the problem is if you are coming from the on-premise, then from the on-premise you have to create different users. You have to decide which virtual warehouse you want, how much storage you want. But if you are migrating from a cloud solution to another cloud solution, it is very easy. So cloud to cloud integration is very secure and it is very easy. The problem comes when we are actually coming from an on-premise system, which is a legacy system, and then we have to migrate everything from there to the cloud. But because we are already in the cloud, so cloud to cloud integration is secure and it is very easy. Okay.
Can
Yes.
additions be also changed?
Additions can also be changed. I can show you if you want.
Okay.
If I go to Snowflake Data Warehouse. So you have two options. First of all, you have to create an additional account and then you have to do a replication and then you can change everything. Okay. So we can have, if I
Can you
show
show
you the
that how
Snowflake,
we do that application?
I can not show you the replication right now. I do not have the script ready right now. So this is not going to into detail. So you can also make one decision. So let us say we have one more account. So let us say this is your another account, and in this account you want to go with, let us say this account is on AWS and your another account is on GCP, let us say. So here this will be this, and these are on different regions. We can also decide that this account is on the business critical, and this account is again can be on any other edition as well. So we want to set up the Here you can see that we have the replication from head to head. So we will set up the replication from this account to this account. So whatever is happening in one account, it will be done in the another account as well. Again, one more thing which we have to consider over here is that these accounts can be either entirely different, or we can have these boards accounts on one organization. So we have different organization, and within this organization we have two accounts. So first of all, we also create one more account within the same organization. And once the replication is done, then at that time, we will decommission this account number one. Okay, so this is where you can see that. Anyhow, we also have one mechanism. Okay, we can now do that. So this is how you can see that we are creating two accounts within a same Snowflake Data Warehouse account. So we are maintaining multiple versions, and if something goes wrong, we can use this account instead of this account. Okay. So we can, or if you want to go to altogether a different region, you can also do that using this one. Okay. So for that, oh, I think this is not the right. Okay, so this is here what I was saying, that we write queries over here. So these are worksheets. And then if I go to my admin section, inside this we have the accounts. So here you can see that we can have multiple accounts. So this is your organization view. So this view is not visible to all the different users. So from here you can create an account. So you can not edit this account. Okay, so whatever region you have selected, whatever cloud provider and whatever region you have already selected, it will not change. But then if you want to change it, you can create another account, which can be on any cloud provider, which can be in any region of that specific cloud provider, and you can go with any edition. Okay. Then all these things you can do from here. So you will have different accounts within your same edition, within your Snowflake Data Warehouse organization. And then you can replicate the data from one account into another account, because they will be within the same organization. So the data replication will be very easy. And again, if you think that this is not required, then you can simply remove it from here, and you can get rid of this. Okay, so you can remove this account. We have this capability. Okay. It is not available because this is the only account we have, but we can do this whenever it is the need is there. Okay. So now this is all about the architecture. And finally, let us go to the different editions we have within the Snowflake Data Warehouse. So if you go to this page, pricing, Snowflake pricing. So in this page is very helpful. It actually helps you understand the different pricing we have for the Snowflake Data Warehouse. So if we go here, so here you can see the different pricing models within the Snowflake Data Warehouse. So here, first of all, let us see what all different editions we have for the Snowflake Data Warehouse. So if you are preparing for the Snowflake Data Warehouse certification, Snowpro Code certification, then you need to understand and you need to remember what all different features are associated to different editions. So let us go one by one. If you talk about the standard edition, this is an entry-level edition of Snowflake Data Warehouse. This is having the least features amongst the different editions. And this is usually used for proof of concepts. If you just want to show you the clients how the data will be migrated, how different features will be used. Again, we do not have most of the features, but again, if you want to give your client a look and feel of how the Snowflake Data Warehouse looks like, how it will be in the operational cause aspects. So the feature it has is just like the complete SQL data warehouse solution. It will have a secure data sharing across region or cloud, so you can share the data across multiple regions and multiple clouds. We have Premier support, so if you have any issues, you can come contact the Snowflake Data Warehouse team. We have something called as one day of time travel. So time travel is very important aspects if we want to restore an data if it has been deleted accidentally. And we have always on enterprise grade encryption in transit and at rest. So all the data is secure. It has been encrypted, whether it is moving from one place to another place, or it is being stored at one place. And we have customer dedicated virtual warehouses. We have federated authentication. We can do database replication. Here you can see that. And then we have external functions. We have access to Snowsite. We can create our own data exchanges, and we have access to the marketplace. And again, if you think that this is not enough for you and you want more features, then you can go for Enterprise Edition, which is Standard Plus, meaning that it has all the features which are available in the Standard Edition. And on top of that, you get multi-cluster warehouse. You get up to 90 days of time travel. Here you can see that in Standard, we have just 1 day of time travel. But in the Enterprise, you can get up to 90 days of time travel. And then you get annual reking of all encrypted data. We have something called as materialized views. We have a service called a search optimization service. We can do dynamic data masking. We have access to external data tokenization. And again, if this is not enough for you and you need more secure Snowflake Data Warehouse account, then you can go for business critical. So business critical is enterprise plus. All the features which are available in enterprise are available, and on top of that, you get HIPAA support, you get PCI compliance, PCI DSS compliance, you get private link support for AWS, Azure, and GCP. You get database failover and failback for business continuity, and you get access to external functions. Again, if this is not enough for you and you have your own infrastructure in place, you want more security, or you want more access to the data, or you have some specific requirement which have to be implemented as a part of your Snowflake data warehouse, then you can also, your organization can also go with the virtual private Snowflake environment. Here you have even more features. You can also ask for more features which can be created by Snowflake data warehouse team, and you can ask for more security. You can ask for different type of optimization which are specific to your organizations. You can do that. As you can see that we have get started button for standard, enterprise, and business critical. So you can get started with these additions right away. But if you want to go with the virtual private Snowflake edition, you have to contact them. You have to help them understand the scenario, and then based on that, they will come with the solution and different budgeting and so on. And based on that, you can have your Snowflake Data Warehouse account ready for your organization. And again, you can see that we have different storage. You can go for either on-demand storage. So it is your storage layer, which we were talking about this storage layer. So you can go either with on-demand. We will discuss in the next section what is on-demand storage and what is capacity storage. So we have different payment methods. So all these different payment methods we have either associated to your storage layer, either associated to your virtual warehouses. We will see how different how we are actually charged based on the different techniques or different features we use within Snowflake Dataverse. Again, because this is a cloud technology, and yesterday we had seen that in cloud, we has pay as you go model. So whatever feature you are using, you will pay for that. And whichever feature you are not using, you do not pay for that. And at any point in time, you can scale up and scale down. And again, we have seen that you can create any virtual warehouses if you want. And if you want to get rid of the virtual warehouses, you can get rid of them. You do not have to unnecessarily pay for the compute layer if you do not want it. So now again, let us see the different editions. So we start from the standard edition, which is introductory level. And then we have the enterprise edition, which has additional features for the needs of large scale enterprise. And then we have the business critical edition, which has even higher level of data protection for organization with extremely sensitive data. And finally, we have virtual private account, which offers the highest level of security. Okay. So this is all about today. So one thing which, okay, so I mean, any questions till here? If you have any questions, please let me know. So if it is all good, then we will wrap up for the session.